There is a secret hidden in the stillness between your breaths. It lives in the pause before you speak, in the quiet space before you act. Most of us never find it because we are too busy running, pushing, striving, doing. We fill our days with endless tasks and our minds with endless noise, believing that if we just work harder, move faster, accomplish more, we will finally arrive at peace. But peace does not wait at the end of your to-do list. It has been here all along, in the space you rushed past while searching for it. Today, I want to share with you an ancient wisdom that feels like a paradox, a teaching that changed my life and might gently transform yours. It is called non-doing, and it is the secret of true productivity. Take a slow breath with me now. Feel the air move softly through your body. Notice how your lungs expand without you commanding them, how your heart beats without your permission. This is non-doing at work. Your body knows a wisdom your mind has forgotten. While you worry and plan and push, your body simply flows with life, doing what needs to be done without force, without struggle, without the exhausting weight of trying. What if your whole life could feel like this? What if you could accomplish everything that truly matters while carrying half the burden you carry now? The truth is, most of what we call productivity is just sophisticated busyness. We have confused motion with progress, noise with purpose, exhaustion with achievement. We wear our stress like a badge of honor and measure our worth by how much we can squeeze into a single day. But somewhere deep inside, beneath all that striving, you know this is not working. You know because you feel the tiredness in your bones, the anxiety humming in your chest, the quiet desperation of always running but never arriving. You have tried harder, faster, more. You have optimized and organized and caffeinated. And still, peace eludes you. Still, something feels missing. What if I told you that the missing piece is not something you need to add? What if the answer is not more doing, but less? Not effort, but effortlessness. Not force, but flow. This is the heart of Zen teaching. This is the ancient practice of Wu Wei, which translates to non-doing or actionless action. It does not mean laziness or passivity or giving up on your dreams. It means aligning yourself with the natural rhythm of life so perfectly that your actions arise from wisdom rather than fear, from presence rather than panic, from inner stillness rather than outer noise. Imagine a river flowing down a mountain. It does not push or strain or worry about whether it is being productive enough. It simply follows the path of least resistance, moving around rocks, filling every space it encounters, accomplishing the monumental task of carving valleys and nourishing forests without a single moment of stress. The river is wildly productive, yet it never forces anything. It works with gravity, with the shape of the land, with the natural order of things. This is the way of non-doing. This is how the wise ones live. Now I know what you might be thinking. You might be saying, "That sounds beautiful, but I have deadlines. I have responsibilities. I have emails that won't answer themselves, and bills that won't pay themselves. I live in the real world, not in some peaceful monastery." I hear you. I understand. I once thought the same thing. I once believed that the teachings of Zen were lovely poetry, but impractical wisdom, meant for monks in robes, not for people with mortgages and meetings and mountains of laundry. But then something happened that changed everything. Let me tell you a story. Many years ago, there was a young monk who came to a Zen master feeling overwhelmed. This monk was intelligent, hard-working, and deeply sincere. He woke before dawn to meditate. He studied scriptures late into the night. He volunteered for every task and never refused a request for help. Yet despite all his effort, he felt stuck, exhausted, and no closer to enlightenment. He went to the master with tears in his eyes and asked, "Teacher, why am I not progressing? I work so hard. I try so much. What am I doing wrong?" The master looked at him with gentle eyes and said, "That is your problem. You are trying too much." The young monk was confused. How could trying too much be a problem? Wasn't effort the path to mastery? The master smiled and led him to the monastery garden where a small stream flowed beside an ancient pine tree. The tree stood tall and strong, its roots deep in the earth, its branches reaching toward the sky with quiet confidence. "Tell me," the master said, "do you see this tree striving? Do you see it struggling to grow? Do you see it anxious about whether its branches are reaching high enough or its roots are deep enough?" The monk shook his head. "No, teacher, the tree simply grows." The master nodded. "Yes, the tree does not try to grow. It simply grows. It does not force itself toward the light. It naturally moves toward it. It does not fight against gravity. It works with gravity, letting its roots sink deep while its branches rise high. It accomplishes the extraordinary task of growing from a tiny seed into this magnificent being through non-doing, through alignment with nature rather than resistance to it." The master continued, "You, young monk, are like a man trying to help a flower bloom by pulling open its petals. You are working so hard that you are actually interfering with your own growth. Enlightenment is not something you achieve through force. It is something you allow through surrender. Productivity is not something you manufacture through stress. It is something that flows through you when you stop blocking it with anxiety and overthinking." The young monk sat by that tree for many days, watching, breathing, learning. And slowly, he began to understand. He began to notice how much energy he had been wasting in unnecessary tension, in overthinking, in forcing outcomes instead of allowing processes. He began to work differently, move differently, live differently. And paradoxically, as he tried less, he accomplished more. As he forced less, things flowed more naturally. As he surrendered the illusion of control, he found true mastery. Take another slow breath with me now. Feel the wisdom of that story settle into your body. Notice how even now, as you listen to these words, you might be holding tension somewhere. Perhaps in your shoulders, perhaps in your jaw, perhaps in your mind as it races ahead, trying to figure out how to apply this teaching before you have even fully received it. Can you soften that tension? Can you let it go, just for this moment? This softening, this letting go, this is non-doing. This is the beginning of the path. So what does this actually look like in daily life? How do we practice non-doing in a world that demands constant doing? The answer is simpler than you might think, though it requires patience to master. Non-doing begins with awareness. It begins with noticing the difference between aligned action and forced action, between work that flows from clarity and work that flows from fear. When you sit down to work, take a moment to check in with yourself. Is your body tense? Is your breath shallow? Is your mind racing with anxious thoughts about deadlines and outcomes? These are signs that you are operating from force, not flow. These are signs that you are in doing mode, not non-doing mode. What if, before diving into your tasks, you took 3 deep breaths? What if you allowed yourself to arrive fully in the present moment before trying to accomplish anything? This small practice can transform everything. When you work from presence rather than panic, you access a deeper intelligence. You see solutions you could not see before. You move with efficiency rather than mere busyness. You accomplish in 2 hours what used to take you 4, not because you are rushing, but because you are flowing. This is the magic of non-doing. This is why less can become more. Another practice is learning to recognize unnecessary effort. So much of our doing is just spinning wheels, creating motion without movement. We check our email 20 times when once would suffice. We redo work that was already good enough because we are anxious it is not perfect. We attend meetings that accomplish nothing and say yes to requests that drain us. All of this is doing, but it is not productive doing. It is anxious doing, ego-driven doing, Unconscious doing. Non-doing invites us to pause and ask, is this action necessary? Is it arising from clarity or from compulsion? Am I doing this because it truly needs to be done, or because I am uncomfortable with stillness? Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is nothing. Sometimes sitting quietly and allowing insight to arise is more valuable than hours of forced brainstorming. Sometimes taking a walk and letting your mind rest is more productive than pushing through exhaustion. Sometimes saying no to a request is more productive than saying yes out of guilt or obligation. This is not laziness. This is wisdom. This is the practice of conserving your energy for what truly matters, of aligning your actions with your deepest values rather than with the endless demands of a distracted world. Let me share another layer of this teaching. Non-doing is also about releasing attachment to outcomes. Most of our stress does not come from the work itself, but from our desperate grip on specific results, our fear that things will not turn out the way we want them to. We exhaust ourselves trying to control what cannot be controlled, trying to force outcomes that must unfold in their own time and their own way. But what if you could work with full commitment while holding the results lightly? What if you could plant seeds with care and devotion, then trust the soil and the sun and the rain to do their part? This is the way of the wise gardener. This is the way of non-doing. When you release attachment to outcomes, you free yourself from the tyranny of results. You can be fully present with the process, which is where life actually happens. You can enjoy the work itself rather than merely enduring it as a means to an end. You can find peace in the planting, not just in the harvest. This shift transforms everything. Suddenly, you are not working to earn your peace. You are working from peace. You are not trying to arrive at some future moment when you will finally be enough. You are already enough right now, and your work flows from that wholeness rather than from a sense of lack. Notice this moment, right now. Notice that you are alive. Notice that you are breathing. Notice that despite all your struggles and fears and imperfections, you are here, doing your best, learning and growing and becoming. Can you feel gratitude for this? Can you feel the simple miracle of being? This gratitude, this appreciation for what is rather than anxiety about what is not, is the emotional foundation of non-doing. It is the fertile soil from which aligned action grows. I want to be honest with you about something. This practice is not always easy. There will be days when you forget everything I have shared. There will be moments when you slip back into forcing and striving and exhausting yourself. This is okay. This is part of the path. The goal is not perfection. The goal is gentle, patient awareness. Every time you notice you are forcing, you have an opportunity to soften. Every time you catch yourself lost in anxious doing, you have an opportunity to come back to non-doing. This is not failure. This is practice. Think of it like learning to float in water. When you first try to float, you might panic and tense up, and that tension makes you sink. But once you learn to relax, to trust the water, to surrender the need to control every muscle, you discover that the water holds you effortlessly. Non-doing is like this. It is learning to trust the support that is always there, learning to relax into life rather than fight against it, learning that you are held even when you let go of your desperate grip. As we move toward the close of our time together, I want to leave you with a simple practice you can begin today. Choose one task, any task, something you need to do this week. Before you begin, take 3 deep breaths. Set an intention not just to complete the task, but to be fully present with it. Notice the sensations in your body as you work. Notice your breath. Notice when tension arises, and practice softening it. Notice when your mind races ahead to the next thing, and gently bring it back to this thing, this moment, this breath. Work with focus, but without force. Work with care, but without anxiety. When the task is done, take 3 more breaths and acknowledge yourself not for the result, but for the quality of presence you brought to the process. This small practice is a seed. Water it with patience and consistency, and it will grow into something beautiful. Over time, you will find that this way of working, this way of being, becomes more natural. You will find that you accomplish what needs to be accomplished without carrying the heavy burden of stress. You will find that peace is not something you achieve after you finish everything on your list. Peace becomes the space from which you work, the ground beneath all your actions, the quiet center that remains calm even when life gets busy. Here is the truth that took me years to understand. You are not a machine designed to produce. You are a human being designed to live. Productivity that comes at the cost of your peace is not productivity at all. It is just a slow erosion of your soul. But productivity that flows from your peace, that arises naturally from presence and alignment and wisdom, this is the productivity of Zen. This is work that nourishes rather than depletes you. This is the secret of non-doing. So today, can you give yourself permission to do less and be more? Can you give yourself permission to accomplish what matters while releasing what does not? Can you give yourself permission to work from flow rather than force, from wisdom rather than worry, from peace rather than panic? You do not need to change everything at once. You do not need to have it all figured out. You simply need to take one breath, one moment, one gentle step in the direction of non-doing, and then another, and then another. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for your openness, your willingness to listen, your courage to consider a different way. May these words serve you well. May they remind you, whenever you forget, that you are enough exactly as you are. May they guide you back to the peace that lives in the space between your breaths, in the stillness beneath all your striving, in the quiet wisdom of your own heart. May you discover that the secret to doing everything that matters is learning the art of non-doing. Take one more slow breath with me. Feel yourself exactly where you are. Notice that in this moment, you are not behind. You are not failing. You are simply here, alive, aware, learning. And that is enough. That is more than enough. That is everything. Today, may you find peace in simply being.